Hey, what's up guys? It's ElasticSpyder here, and in today's video we have a community replay. In this community replay we're looking at Mine Jeturo. I can't see your full name, but I'm just gonna call you, I guess, Mine. Well, that's interesting, but either way, we are looking at a Chung Mu replay. Now the Chung Mu is the tier 9 Pan-Asian destroyer, and it is a good one. It's very similar to the Fletcher, and that's kind of why I'm liking it. I've only played a couple games in it, but I do like it thus far. Now, mine is going to be heading into B, and we're playing on Warrior's Path, which is a bit interesting. Now, if you want to send us a community replay, send it to BIAworldofwarships@gmail.com. Please include the post-battle results, the replay itself, and a pretty, I guess, brief description of what occurred in the battle. Additionally, if you want Sneaky Snake to do a replay analysis, or myself to even, then you can, send us an email with the aforementioned stuff, and then also use somewhere in the title or the subject line say something that you want your replay analyzed. So without further ado, let's get into the replay. So a bit risky move going in this early into B, especially with a couple other very popular destroyers, mainly the Z-52 that can completely hydro a full cap. So in my opinion, a bit risky, but notice we do have RPF, which is actually a quite interesting skill. I'm not too fond of the RPF skill. I don't think it's as useful as a lot of people think. But either way, it did help. It did help in this situation. So we see that we attracted a Fletcher into the B cap. Now here we're doing some nice moves. No, I probably wouldn't have smoked. I think you might have been better off, especially if you're not going to shoot, just to hold your smoke, and then you have another charge for later on in the game. But either way, it's not too big of a deal. But of course, he's going ass into the cap, which is good. Now I personally would expect the Fletcher to come out here. I think that's what we see him do. Mine doing here. And is he gonna turn his guns? He's doing like a 360 or something. Buddy, there's a destroyer right there. I don't know what is happening. If you're spotting him or trying to spot him, then okay, there we go. I don't know what happened there. Maybe maybe you. I'm not sure. But either way, we're gonna continue on. So a bit of a weird start here. Now, the Chung Mu is it's not that interesting of a ship when you think about it. Like I said, it's pretty much a Fletcher without defensive fire as a capability. However, you can slap radar on the ship. Conversely, it doesn't have some of the other characteristics that a Fletcher would, like it has, the Chung Mu has deep water torpedoes, and well, you can't do that to a Fletcher in the Chung Mu. You can't torp other ships, other DDs rather. However, these guns are quite good, and with a nice reload, I do think that these guns are quite good. Now, it's debatable whether or not you want to use Torpedo Reload as like that main that 6th slot on your upgrade slot, whether you want to use main battery reload or Torpedo Reload. To me, it looks like we are using main battery, I'm sorry, we are using Torpedo Reload. I'm saying that because base Chung Mu reload is about 3.4 seconds, 3.3, 3.4, and we're seeing around 3.2, so I'm assuming it was just adrenaline rush kicking in, because had we had main battery mod 3, it would have been around 3 seconds. So no, for me personally, I would in the Fletcher I pick Torpedo Reload and Torpedo Yeah, torpedo reload, we'll just call it, just because the torps are so much better. Now, in this ship, you kind of have a little bit of a trade-off. You can get some nice torpedo reloads with the torpedo reload module, but you can also get a gunboat build and kind of diversify yourself a little bit more, and kind of out DPM some of your other destroyer counterparts. Now, what I probably would recommend, now, a couple things here. I'm just going to pause this for 1 second. I do apologize. But one thing I do want to mention is if you do have the top torpedoes in the Chung Mu, which it does appear that we do have them here, the 10.5 kilometer torpedoes. Of course, they are deep water, but they do go at 66 knots and have a detectability of 0.8 kilometers, which is really good, obviously, but they also do some quite good damage. With a full alpha strike of 53,000 per torpedo, like, tube, or set, I should say. These are quite devastating torpedoes. Now, the reload on these torpedoes is, I want to say, it's 106 seconds base. So if you do have the torpedo reload, then I want to say it gets around 90. I don't remember the actual percentages, but for all intents and purposes, we're gonna say it's around 90 seconds. It could be a little, give or take 5 or 10 seconds. But either way, me personally, 100-second reload is not that bad, or 106, whatever. With AR, it can get down to 100. But here's the thing. At least in my opinion, I think the Chung Mu would benefit more from gun reload than torpedo reload. The reason being is that since your torpedoes cannot hit destroyers, no matter what the circumstance is, they cannot hit destroyers. That is it's a limitation within the ship, for the ship. Whereas something like the Fletcher, you can very easily. Okay, so we're doing 120 seconds. So I'm actually not sure what you're actually running here. If you do watch this video of mine, please let me know what your sixth slot is, whether it's main battery reload, torpedo reload, or what have you. But like I was saying, the Chung Mu doesn't have an advantage when it comes to other destroyers. Now, if you're fighting a Fletcher, for example, because I'll compare this to the Fletcher, and these look like amazing torpedoes, by the way. If the Fletcher has torpedo reload, for example, then you guys have the same reload, gun reload, and this is. It's interesting because then, he can kind of dictate the situation by using his torpedoes to guide you one way or another, whereas you can't do that with him. So, in my opinion, I think fighting other destroyers in the Chung Mu is more beneficial. So that's why I would go with the main battery modification rather than the torpedo. However, you might like the Chung Mu, and you might like it as more of a torpedo boat because it does get some very, very sneaky torpedoes, and they're deep water, so they're good at farming like battleships and cruisers, and I guess carriers too. So you could also go that route too. I'm a little bit more, I guess, aggressive destroyer player, and I like to get in little knife fights, especially in these like US-esque destroyers. So that's just my opinion, but again, it's completely up to you and your play style. I do think that there's a better way, to improve. But again, I've only played a few battles in the Chung Mu, so I don't quite know the ins and outs of the ship yet. But I just want to give you my thoughts on that. Now, I guess the other thing too I want to mention is smoke or radar, and we do spot this Yugumo here. We do have to be careful here. You don't want to, of course, get torped by the Yugumo, and you don't also want to smoke up here. Now, we can tell that the Yugumo dropped torpedoes, and this is some nice play by mine, turning back into the left, so that we're constantly spotting the Yugumo, and if he did drop torpedoes, then we've got a better chance of actually dodging them than if they were, you know, coming perpendicular. We're going parallel to the expected torpedoes that looked like they never came, but either way, we do get the Yugumo killed, and interestingly, he didn't shoot his guns at all. But something I want to talk about a little bit more is the smoker radar choice that you get with the Pan-Asian destroyers. Now, I think it's definitely situational. Now, if you do pair up with something like maybe like a U.S. cruiser, like the Buffalo or the upcoming Turn 9s, you know, smoke could be very viable, because those ships have radar, and they've got a good enough concealment that they can kind of go into these little closer range engagements with the Chung Mu and use their concealment to, you know, leave. Now, so that's one point. So if you bring a radar cruiser along in your division, then I think you know, bringing smoke is quite useful, and especially with the high I guess refresh rate, or the fast reload time of the smoke consumable. You can get smokes off pretty fast. You can kind of chain smoke them with very little time in between. And oh boy, we see an Alsace at nearly full health. And we're of course going to dump some torpedoes, and we do see a Conqueror there too. I think we're going to do one behind and then one a little bit more in front. I think probably would have been better just to do one on and then one a little bit more to the left, but we'll see here. Now, right here, I would say definitely smoke up and start shooting, and shooting AP. Okay, good. Now, let's see. There's two options here. We can either burn damage cons, or we can go for basically alpha damage. Alpha damage is probably, in my eyes, more beneficial. But of course, I would actually be shooting at this Alsace, because he just took a torpedo. He's flooding. I guess the Conqueror is too now, but the Conqueror has a super heal, so this is an interesting situation. We could see the Conqueror's healing up quite a lot, quite quickly. Now that we did get floods, though, we should be shooting HE, because we want those fires, and damage over time is most of the time much more beneficial than just raw alpha damage. So it looks like we're gonna go for this Alsace. I think this is probably the better choice. Interestingly enough, we're hoping that the Alsace can actually ram the Conqueror. That would be ideal, but I think the Alsace made a mistake there. Unfortunately, our RNG is not working with us. But the quick reload time of these torpedoes, minute and 30 seconds, which is quite interesting. Now, in those situations, I think you probably should have held your second set of torpedoes, but it looks like the Alsace is gonna be dead. He took one torpedo from the Shimakaze, and we get another torpedo hit there. So he's definitely flooding, and he actually floods out right before we get spotted there, or whatever. But now we're still in an interesting spot. We don't have the... We're gonna be down on caps, and we're also down on ships, and it's 3 destroyers. So, and well, the Shimakaze has almost no health, but the Sasho gets some nice deep water torpedoes off on the Conqueror. And does he overturn? Yes, he does. The Conqueror does overturn for a nice second kill. So now it's 3v3 with we actually have 2 caps. So I guess the Shimakaze didn't even fully cap C. I'm not sure, but to my greater point, going back a little bit, I know this sounds a little jaggy, and I'm kind of going off on a tangent a little bit here, but the smoker radar issue, again, it's more of what you're being paired up with. If you're being paired up with a radar cruiser that has good concealment, then smoke would be a good option for that division. However, if you're playing you know, random battles by yourself, you know, smoke still might be a good option. However, you know, if you're pairing up with something like a smoked Minotaur, then radar would obviously be much more key, because you can just shove a smoked Minotaur in pretty much anywhere. But again, that's kind of up to you. I don't think that overall the radar is more or less beneficial. It just depends really on the situation, and this is not a good situation. Now, this Asashio is probably shitting his pants right now, but he has to realize that there is a Chung Mu behind him, and he's dumping Torp. So I'm sure the Asashio just crapped his pants right there, but I think he understood the situation. And we'll see. These torpedoes look very, very nice. The Des Moines doesn't even realize that they're coming. The Bismarck does kill the Shimakaze. We get one torpedo hit and a second torpedo hit for Confederate and high caliber. Very, very nice kill there on the Des Moines. The Asashio sends out torpedoes on the Bismarck. Man, this is close. And we're still spotted here. So the Harakaze is quite close. The Bismarck's on almost no health. We can actually probably gun him down, but I think, well, with the amount of secondaries coming in, that's a little bit too much. Smoking up is a good choice here. Hopefully we can get the Asashio to help us, at least just to spot. That would be, of course, most ideal. I hope we can get this kill. The game is coming to an end here. 3 minutes left. Full health Harakaze. You have to be careful of that. Gotta aim your shots though, can't just assume that they're gonna hit. It's these situations where it's kind of close, and I think you did get a little bit lucky here that the Cyclone ended pretty close to when you needed that kill. But nonetheless, we got a Kraken as well with that Bismarck kill, and yeah, let's go. So we need to get B. At this point, I think this should be a win. Hands down. We do have pretty mediocre point lead, nearly 40 points now, but we are getting B, and well, 2 destroyers versus 1 destroyer, it's always going to be in favor of the 2 destroyer. In this situation, I would definitely hope that I would want to have the lower health destroyer use smoke, but I don't think we really have that option here. And this is just pure gunboat destroyer. It looks like the Harakaze is using the 100 mils on his ship. But now again here in this situation, had you had main battery mod 3, the one that increases reload speed to your guns, might be a little bit closer. Unfortunately though, you do get the kill, so nice job there. So it didn't really mean to go all the way back and kind of what we originally were talking about versus, you know, main battery mod and torpedo reload, but there are some good situations there where you guys can hopefully see where the benefits could be, you know, having the different modules. And again, it's ultimately up to your play style, but I do think that in the long run it is, at least for me, more beneficial to run main battery mod. Now, you can make different arguments, but we saw there at the end that it didn't really matter at the end because we didn't die. But if that was a situation where you might have had to, you know, you survive that and maybe kill another ship, then that could be. It could be the difference between a win and a loss. But either way, we ended up getting 700,000 credits. Confederate high caliber and Kraken Unleashed. 190,000 damage there. 12 very nice torpedo hits. 6 kills as well, and 1 solo base caps, and 3 spotted enemy ships, which is a nice new ribbon that we have. Now, we got some very nice base XP. 2,891. Nearly 1,100 more than the next person on our team, the Shimakaze, who did pretty well himself. And you know, the rest of our team and even the enemy team, it's not. It was a good match. I think we did have to work a little bit harder. Could have had a little bit more damage and possibly a little bit more XP had we been paying attention earlier in the replay with that Fletcher. But nonetheless, I get it. Sometimes things happen during games. You're bored and you look at your phone or something. But either way, very nice game. Detailed report. Ended up doing 40k with the guns and torpedoes 141,000. So very nice game, as I say, as I've already said. Let's move on to the credits. So even after all the expenses were paid, we still made over 500 grand, which is just so satisfying and so amazing. And we did get a new captain point, which looks we're I want to say 17 points, 16 points. I don't know, but. Hey, at the very least, we've got